Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're going to wait just a couple more minutes to make sure everyone is gathering and not having any technical issues. If you are having any technical issues or difficulties, please put that in the chat, and our tech support will be there to assist you right away. All right, everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for attending today's meeting. I'm Emily Miller, the Manager of Grants Administration at Paid Leave. We are so excited to get started in earnest on these public outreach grants with you. First, some housekeeping. Your camera, microphone, and the public chat feature are going to be disabled during this webinar. Again, if you have any tech difficulties, please put in the chat and our tech support will be there to assist you right away. For the Q&A session, you can submit your questions to us using the chat button. You can find the chat button at the top of your screen. Only the presenters and Paid Leave staff will be able to see the questions from the audience. Use the My Questions tab to ask a question anytime during the presentation. We will be responding to these in real time to the best of our abilities and publishing those that make sense for all to see the response, especially if there's a trend or a theme. And we'll also answer all the questions at the end of the event. In addition, we are recording today's event in case anyone from your organization wasn't able to attend and would like to watch at a later time. Without further ado, let's get started. All right, here's our agenda for today's kickoff event. We are going to do some introductions. We're going to discuss Minnesota Paid Leave. We're going to review what grant management looks like for these unique and collaborative grants with multiple stakeholders, including communications, public engagement, evaluation, and our grants team here at Paid Leave. And then we'll have some Q&A and closing remarks. All right, why are we here today? Our main goal, first and foremost, is to get everyone excited for these grants because they have the potential to make a difference for so many Minnesotans. More than that, we want you to understand our vision for the management and support we will provide during these grants. You'll meet the people, see the process, and get a preview of the tools and resources that you will have to ensure your grant success. And to start us off, I'd like to pass things over to the Director of Paid Leave, Greg Norfleet, for an introduction and welcome to Paid Leave and the inaugural Public Outreach Grants Program.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. So excited to be here today and to talk a bit about the program as a whole. So we're at an extremely exciting point with the launch of Paid Leave. Over 3,000 families have already are already out on leave, being able to spend those precious moments with their newborn children. And we're getting more and more applications in every day. With the launch of this program over the last month, this means that we've joined the rest of the developed world, and Minnesotans no longer need to choose between having access to financial security and being there during life's most important moments. But before we talk about where we are today, I think it's important to talk a little bit about how we got here. So the program is the product of over a decade of advocacy, and I think we're actually on the next slide, Miriam, which finally came to a head in the 2023 legislative session. So we had advocates from across the state, religious organizations, unions, and a whole lot of actors that advocated for this bill for over a decade. And then in the 2023 legislative session, the bill passed. And that moment when the bill became law was actually captured on film. From the moment that the governor signed the bill, the state of Minnesota has been building. We built an entire division to support employees, employers, and healthcare providers. Last December, we actually went early. So we've been taking in applications for parents that welcome children into their homes in 2025. And we announced that soft launch along with the governor, Martha from Marty's Deli in Minneapolis, and her new baby, Nell. Martha is going to be taking leave under the program to have just a bit of extra time with Nell during those first really important moments. We started, and now here we are, live with paid leave. Like I mentioned, we have over 3,000 folks that are already out on leave. We've already made decisions on over 7,000 cases that have been submitted through our portal. We've approved over 5,000 applications for our friends and neighbors. Over 4,000 folks are already taking leave to bond with their children, and we're receiving hundreds more applications every single day. Each approval makes space for meaningful moments in the lives of Minnesotans, and we're ready to make it happen. I'm so excited to welcome you all onto this team. It's an incredible team of folks that have worked together to make this program a reality over the last 2.5 years. This is a team that's not afraid of doing big things and being there for one another. We built this program very much with the people of Minnesota, not just for the people of Minnesota. And that partnership is a key part of how we deliver. We're ready to deepen those relationships with stakeholders across the state. And with your help, we'll continue to deliver this program for all Minnesotans and hopefully make it the best paid leave program in the entire country. And with that, let me hand it back to Emily.
Thank you so much, Greg. We really appreciate you and all of your leadership at the top. Today I will start taking you through our grants management team and how we will be supporting your grants. Let's start with a timeline of where we are at. We received final approval for our last grantees at the end of November. Right now, it's full steam ahead, as you all know, with finalizing your budgets and work plans. And we're on the cusp of the most exciting time for grants, signing those contracts and getting the activities underway. As we all know, work cannot get started until those grant contracts are signed and executed, but that is the moment when months of planning becomes meaningful, impactful activities. Moving forward just a bit, there are some major milestones that will be coming up, and I want to preview those as well. The first begins in February, when you will be asked to submit your first reimbursement request. What is unique about this this time around, if you are not new to DEED, is that we're asking that even if it's a zero cost, you submit the RPR just so that you can become familiar with our process and build the good habits of submitting something monthly so we can have a check-in throughout. Soon after that, your first quarterly report will be due. A bit further into the future, we will have monitoring visits. These are opportunities for us to see the awesome work that you are achieving. And then lastly, once July is here, we can begin to finalize the funding available for your year 2 implementation and modify that award accordingly. This won't happen overnight and will likely go into the fall of 2026, but it's good to keep this important step on our horizon as well. I'll now turn it over to my colleague Brian to give an overview of how we will manage these grants.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Lakier, the Grant Specialist Supervisor. I want to begin by showing you a complicated looking slide, but it has a simple message. Your Grant Specialist Coordinator, who you have been working with, is in the middle of it all, and they are your point person for all things paid leave grant management. I know many of you've already been met and you've been working with the Grant Specialist Coordinators, Mike, Joan, and Julia, though Julia is currently on leave. And I want to stress, if you get nothing from else from this presentation or my discussion, I want to stress that they are your go-to people for any questions or issues that you have throughout your grant. The second item I want to highlight on this slide is the working groups. We'll talk more in detail about them later, but the working groups will serve as the backbone for the technical and logistical support we want to provide you. In particular, our external communications, public engagement, and program evaluation teams will be sitting on these working groups to ensure seamless support for you, the grantee. Lastly, there are many other teams not listed here that are ready to provide support to you when needed, including our contract center, the product build team, our adjudication team, and claims teams. To sound like a broken record, your grant specialist coordinator is the person you should go to access these resources. And I want to be aware, you to be aware that they are available to you to do so. And next slide. All right, without further ado, let's share with everyone the list of grantees. So we have 20 grantees spread out across Minnesota, working with various target audiences, reaching different service recipients, and each providing a unique mix of support to ensure success. Internally, we have divided our grantees into 3 working groups. One will work with organizations in the Twin Cities area, one with organizations in Greater Minnesota, and one with cultural organizations that help us engage the state's key populations. And you will hear more from our public engagement team about these key populations later in the kickoff. Take a look at the table to see where your organization is located, and feel free to jot down and make connections with the other grantees listed. I'm sure we will have many other opportunities for connections and networking down the road, but it's never too early to start. Each grantee has its own unique expertise and approach, and that's what excites us about these grants. In addition, we believe that each grant is strengthened by the work of other grantees. For example, a grantee might be working with cancer patients promoting the availability of paid leave, while another grantee is working with her small business employer who is helping that employer receive, or that employee receive a small business employer assistance grant. We are excited by these possibilities for these grants to really amplify and extend and expand the reach and success of paid leave. Moving back to the working groups, let me go into detail for you and explain how these will work. Each working group will be supported by a team member from our external communications, public engagement, and grant administration teams, as well as program evaluation teams. As you can see on the screen, the Twin Cities working group is supported by Julia Olson, who's currently on leave. So Joan and Mike have graciously helped out there, as well as she and Gabriella from communications and public engagement. For Greater Minnesota, Joan, Julie, and Corinne are your team that will be supporting the Greater Minnesota paid leave working groups. And the cultural organizations are supported by Mike, Miriam, and Danny. Program evaluation, Ellen will be supporting all of them as needed throughout across all of the different working groups. So as I mentioned earlier, your grant specialist coordinators serve as your primary contact and navigator. That means these working groups are the backbone that provides technical support and links to the broader paid leave team. They are here for you. The working groups will be meeting weekly to discuss common problems and issues, answer your questions, and otherwise serve you as the grantee. Also, if they can't help you, they have access to the collective knowledge and expertise of the paid leave team. We know that you all have remarkable experience in public outreach, but please don't feel on an island when it comes to the specifics and details of paid leave. We have our working groups here to help. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Joan, the grant specialist coordinator supporting our Greater Minnesota grantees, to talk about how we will make resources available to you.
Thanks, Brian. I just want to give a quick sampling of how we envision we will share materials with you. As the slide says, once you sign your grant contract, we will give you access to a one-stop shop that you can go to for countless documents, templates, materials, request forms, etc. This will be a living resource that we intend to keep up to date with the latest and greatest that paid leave can provide to support your work. This shouldn't replace reaching out to your grant specialist coordinator or using the grant management system, but this is in addition to these other resources. For those that have never utilized SharePoint before, it's a fairly intuitive user interface, and Mike, Julia, and I will be available to help you and your staff navigate. We are also available if you can't find the resource you are looking for or are having issues downloading it. Now I'd like to turn it over to Mike, who supports the cultural organizations, to talk about touch points and trainings.
Thank you, John, and good morning, everyone. My name is Mike McCrouncy. I'm a grant specialist coordinator here, and I support the cultural organization. So I'm going to share with you the training and support that we'll be providing throughout the grant period. That being said, we want your insight on what you need, and we expect that the training will evolve and change as the grant move forward. So what we have is a starting point and not a final idea. And then we welcome ideas from our grantees. So what are some of the supports that are available? We'll be having weekly virtual office hours via Teams for questions and concerns. And then we'll also be having frequent meetings with grant specialist coordinator. That meeting can be in person or will be online. And then we'll be having quarterly updates from our communications and public engagement teams for connection and support. We also have plans for training. So some of the plans that we have for training includes a practical training on navigating the grant management system, especially when it comes to payments request. We also have resources and training to understanding pay leave complexity. We also have access to existing pay leave training resources. We have up to 13 webinars on our pay leave public engagement events website. And as part of those webinars, there's an introduction to pay leave, which could be considered as pay leave 101, which is a clear understanding of what the pay leave program is. We also have engagement with our communication and engagement team. They will be able to share ideas and approaches during the grant implementation period. The teams will also be able to provide training, listening session, exchange of best practices, and learn lessons from these activities. There will also be opportunities for networking. So we'll be hoping to facilitate gatherings and networking among grantees. And our expectation is that grantees and staff should attend and utilize resources for successful grant implementations. Inputs and ideas are encouraged. You can contact the grant team, you can contact me, John, Julia, Brian, Emily, and the rest of the grant team for whatsoever assistance that is needed in this process. So we'll always be available to provide assistance, to provide touch points, and then we look forward to a successful implementation of the grant. I will now pass it over to Sam from the communication team.
Thanks so much. Great to meet you and be with you all today. My name is Sam Fettig, he, him pronouns. I'm the external communications manager at Paid Leave, part of our strategy team. And for this section, we're going to talk a little bit about what our team does at Paid Leave, who we are, the work we do, and then how we can work together. So first here is a look at what our team does. And on our communications team, we've got a mix of content specialists, accessibility and translation services, and digital communications support as well. And overall, our goal is that we make Minnesota Paid Leave clear, accurate, and accessible. And we can support you in that by sharing approved paid leave messaging, templates, photos, other resources, and then we can also help review materials that you all are creating as part of your work. And we can talk a little bit more about what that looks like in a minute here. So examples of some of the things that we have worked on. These include handouts or fact sheets on different paid leave topics, like different types of leave schedules, coordinating different kinds of benefits, taxes, and then one-pagers on the basics of paid leave translated into multiple languages, visual resources, graphic and photographs, and then website content as well. And here's a look at just visually some examples of that. So we've got a rack card, sort of handout-sized piece on paid leave on the left there in 4 languages. An example of a fact sheet, of a digital explainer video that we've created, the newsletters that we send out regularly, and then in the lower right corner there, the content that is in the application itself that we work with our product team on to keep clear and accurate. So a little more about how we can work together between paid leave communications and the work that you all will do. We know that you understand your communities best, and reaching out to them in a way that connects is the work that you were brought on to do. So some examples of what this might look like would be using culturally specific language or examples, choosing formats that work for the people you're trying to reach, flyers, social media, videos, etc., and then adapting messages to fit your community's needs as well. That being said, we do, again, want to make sure that any information going out about paid leave is correct, consistent, and clear. And so that means that there are going to be some important points where we need you to come to us first before you are communicating out. And again, those are places where we want to make sure that the information is accurate and that it's consistent, that people aren't getting different information or confusing or conflicting information in different places. So a few examples of places where that could come up would be things that use the paid leave logo that will be widely shared or posted publicly, content that is brand new that paid leave did not develop, and then materials that are new and are being translated into Hmong, Somali, or Spanish. We have some more detail on this in a communications guide for grantees that shares a little bit more about the types of materials that we would like to take a look at and the sort of timeline that we expect to be able to turn those reviews around. In general, I want to stress that we want you to be able to move quickly and do the work that you were brought on to do. And the best way to do that quickly will be to work from the existing resources and language that we've developed. And then again, if there are gaps that you're seeing where something new is needed, we're happy to work with you to get it right, but it will take some time to get there. And with that, I will pass it off to my colleague, Linda Miller.
Morning, everyone. As Sam said, I'm Linda Miller. I use she, her pronouns, and I manage the public engagement team for paid leave. Before I introduce you to the work of the public engagement team, I just want to acknowledge all the paid leave advocates and lawmakers for having the wisdom to prioritize outreach and education and funding for that in the law, right? And the foresight to fund community-based organizations as critical partners in that work. It makes our program very unique among those around the country. And you are foundational to the program's success, and we're so glad you're here and part of the team. So at Minnesota Paid Leave, we're building a community engagement practice that is centered around caring, meaning we want to make sure that folks feel cared for throughout the process, right? Sometimes we don't have all the answers that they may be looking for at our fingertips, but we want them to know that we're here to help solve problems and give them a good experience. We're also building a program that is rooted in equity. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We want it to be relational, right? This is people work, public engagement. We want it to be responsive to community needs and also reciprocal, right? We have a lot to offer the community, but they have a lot of wisdom to offer us. And we're also building this practice where decisions are informed by diverse perspectives, community needs, and lived experiences. This is where you all come in and play a critical role, right? As Greg said, we're committed to building the program not just for Minnesotans, but with Minnesotans. And as we all know, communities closest to the issues are the best prepared to help shape solutions. So you are our eyes and ears in the community, right? And this is something that was reflected over and over in your work plans, and we're really excited about that. So if we're successful in building this practice together, we will deliver a paid leave program so equitable that all of our constituents, again, and especially those who experience economic, racial, social, and other barriers, feel valued and understood and cared for throughout the process and throughout the experience. As we know, research shows the benefits of paid leave are not shared equally across all populations. And this leads to even more economic and health disparities. And these communities include workers who experience low and unstable incomes. It includes Black, Indigenous, and workers of color, immigrant workers, workers with limited English proficiency, our LGBTQIA Two-Spirit plus workers, and workers with disabilities, as well as rural workers. And we call these internally our key populations, and they are a foundational part of our strategy, and we are prioritizing them in our work. So in preparation for our launch of the Minnesota Paid Leave program, the public engagement team has led an extensive statewide outreach effort. We've got some statistics here for you, just to highlight a few. Between November of 2023, that's when I was hired. Another point, the program felt that public outreach and education is so important that I was among the first 3 people hired on the team. And we have since conducted more than 345 engagement activities and connected with 40,000 plus individuals across Minnesota. This equates to an average of more than 3 events and 360 connections per week over this 2-year period. So our engagement activities were strategically designed to reach a wide range of audiences, and they took place both virtually and in person, both in the metro and in greater Minnesota. About 60% of our outreach and engagement has focused on employers because they had the most to do to prepare for the launch of paid leave. They're also where a large number, maybe even most employees, learn about the benefits like paid leave. So it's really important that they are informed, educated, and enthusiastic about sharing information with their employees about the program. So our event types ran the gamut from one-on-one relationship building, stakeholder meetings, community events, formal presentations, on-site visits. We canvassed many commercial areas to share information in person with employers. We did tabling at events, pop-ups, workshops. We did materials drops, just handing things off so they could be distributed to the public. Many webinars, as Brian or Joan explained, and we even did radio appearances, baby showers, and a parade. So we're excited to see all of the creativity that you all can bring to this process and work with you on expanding our toolkit of how we're going to do this work. And while we're really proud of this work and what we accomplished, there is much more to do, especially with our key populations. In addition to working with you all, building your capacity and coordinating on your outreach activities, this is a look of some of what we'll be focusing on in the coming year. So we're going to continue to and expand our small employer outreach. We're going to be focusing a lot on birth and bonding leave, especially for non-birthing parents. Research again shows that non-birthing parents, so whether that's foster families or adoptive families, or even, just fathers and moms, don't take bonding leave at the same rates that it's available. We're going to be focusing some effort on human service providers, right? These are folks who are already providing services to people with low and unstable incomes. And we'll be launching a community liaison project. More to come on this. And I'll also say we really want to start highlighting more stories of impact. Now that people can take leave, we need to share the good news with everyone to make that more accessible for people to understand the benefits of paid leave. So while we've been running at full speed for the better part of 2 years, we recognize that when it comes to community engagement, we must move at the speed of trust, right? And we really see this as a true partnership with you, a partnership built on trust. And we're your peers, we're not your parents, right? We look forward to learning from you as much as sharing what we've learned from our work in the field. And in terms of ways we can partner, right, here's just some of the ideas we have. And we're looking forward to you telling us what you need. But we can share our event calendars so we're not duplicating efforts. We can collaborate on storytelling, collecting these stories of impact and sharing them out with a wider community. Again, you are eyes and ears, you know the community's best, so you can help ensure that community insights inform our program decisions. And also, we want to make sure that we amplify one another's work and successes. So we're here internally to raise your profile, to let everyone know throughout the program the good work that you're doing. And we are eager to share with you some of what we're learning and make time to celebrate that work. So just to sum up, we see community engagement as a team sport. And you are part of this team. We need you to share your passion. We need your perspectives, your energy, and your expertise, right? We want your insights and ideas for how to do this work better and how to reach our key populations. And we need you to be honest and give us, your candor and your feedback. And then, of course, to just collaborate. This is super exciting. I think we've been waiting and been as eager for the launch of this grant program as you all have. So thank you so much for being here and really excited for the work going forward. And now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Betsy, who is in charge of our policy and evaluation areas.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you everyone for being here. I'm going to do a quick intro before I turn it over to Ellen. I'm so excited to welcome all of you to the team. It's really, really exciting to be expanding our team with so many wonderful partners to be able to expand our reach across Minnesota. We know that this is going to be a huge positive for all of the people across our state. So my name is Betsy Orn, and I'm the manager of strategic program analysis. That means I oversee policy and evaluation. You can go back, Miriam, we're not quite ready for this. And so my policy team will be here to help answer those tough questions when you get them, and we'll be available at other times. But I'm going to hand it over to Ellen now. Ellen is our program evaluation coordinator, and she's leading up our work to support all of you in doing great evaluation to help make sure that we're learning and understanding what's working as we do outreach and evaluation throughout the state. Thanks, Ellen.
Thanks, Betsy. Good morning, everyone. So great to be with you all today virtually. My name is Ellen Squires, and like Betsy said, I work on evaluation at Paid Leave. And I've been working alongside the grant specialist coordinators to help set up the evaluation portion of the grant program. And we will have more opportunities to engage directly and deeply about evaluation in the future. Today is just a general overview of the evaluation portion of the grant program. So I wanted to start just with a quick definition of evaluation that captures how we think about evaluation at Paid Leave. So I'll just read it off here: a systemic and intentional process of gathering and analyzing data, both quantitative and qualitative, numbers and stories, to inform learning, decision-making, and action. So you can see in this definition, we really aren't focused on gathering data just for the sake of gathering data, but we really do want to use the findings and data from evaluation to improve how we conduct outreach and to drive decisions at the program. So the evaluation for the public outreach grants is really designed to provide valuable information for you as grantees and for the Paid Leave program, so we can collectively learn about what's working, maybe what's not working, and then what difference the work that everyone is doing is making for the communities who we're serving. So it's really a way for you to systematically track and communicate about how you're implementing your activities. We also hope that evaluation can help you demonstrate the success that you're seeing in impacting the outcomes that we're all working towards. So building awareness of paid leave, understanding of paid leave, and then ultimately participation in the program. We also hope evaluation can be a part of tracking and sharing lessons learned and best practices as we all learn through the work that's being done. And then this is the first iteration of this grant program. Paid Leave is obviously a newer program as well. So I think evaluation can be really critical in shaping Paid Leave's thinking about outreach strategies and future iterations of this grant program. So I want to quick touch on 3 different areas of the evaluation. So first we want to learn together about what activities are implemented and who was reached through the activities. So it's really helpful to have this good data describing the activities before we can start answering questions about what difference they made. So this is that first component of the evaluation, or the process component. We also want to learn about how the collective work of all of your organizations is contributing to the main outcomes of the grant, and that is the outcome portion of the evaluation. And I've mentioned the word learning a lot already, but that is also something we're interested in. So we want to focus on what we're learning about effective approaches, what's working well to actually achieve these outcomes, to reach people, to build their awareness, understanding, and participation in the program, and where are we seeing barriers, and what are we learning about how to overcome those. So you'll be tracking and gathering a lot of data as you implement your work and conduct this evaluation. And there's a lot of ways that you're going to be communicating that information to paid leave as a program throughout the grant cycle. We'll go into these in more depth later on as you actually embark on the work. But the main way that you're going to be communicating evaluation data to us is through the reporting that the grants team has set up in the grants management system. So in the quarterly and final reporting, there will be both quantitative indicators and qualitative reporting that will kind of be the main kind of formal way that you'll be giving evaluation data, providing evaluation data to the program. And then this was, I think, mentioned maybe already, or you may have heard about this already, but we're going to have focus groups at the midpoint of the grant cycle and at the end of the grant cycle to go a little bit deeper in an informal discussion just around what you're seeing and learning. So a little bit more conversational, a chance for us to go a little bit deeper than that reporting process. And then the site visits that are planned will be another great opportunity to, again, informally learn about the work, how it's going, what you're learning. So focusing more on the qualitative data and insights. And I know an evaluation plan was submitted as part of the application process, so this should be a familiar thing to all of you, but we know it's important and helpful to have an organized plan about what information you're going to gather and how you're going to gather it. This will definitely make the reporting process easier, and we hope it's also a tool to help you ensure that you're tracking what is important to measure. So it's kind of our roadmap that describes what data we're planning to collect, how we're going to collect it. And as you update your evaluation plan to correspond to your new updated work plan, just note that it should be informed by what you want or need to report, but it can also include more than that if there's additional data that would be helpful to track. So this screenshot here is just a little snippet of how this evaluation plan can be organized. So what are the big questions that we're seeking to answer? What indicators will allow us to answer those questions? And then how are we going to gather them? So to help you conduct your evaluation and to support that work, we developed a few resources. These are optional. You aren't required to use these, but just wanted to touch on these, and these will live in the SharePoint site that you'll all have access to. So the sample evaluation plan is a tool to support you as you develop and update your evaluation plan, and feel free to adapt this to suit your purposes. In that document, there's also some definitions of things that we want to measure, and that might be helpful for you to review just so we're all on the same page about some of those indicators. We also know that many of you are planning to conduct surveys after some of your activities to assess how well they went, what difference they made. And to that end, we've developed a sample survey that has a bank of questions that you can consider as you develop your own to kind of match the things that you want to measure after your activities. And then lastly, we have a form that you can use after events to capture some important data from these events. This is a tool that our own public engagement team uses quite a bit in their work. So it's just a way for you to log some of that information while it's fresh and to create a system for tracking things that you'll probably want to report to the paid leave program. So all of these, again, are here for reference if you need them. And just want to mention on the note on the subject of reporting, in that timeline that was shared, the first quarterly report is due in April, and just there are indicators that are more geared towards what your time you're spent on getting trained and learning about the program. So definitely not an expectation that you're going to be reporting on every single indicator that you might be measuring over time in that first iteration of a quarterly progress report. And moving forward, there's a few things that you can start doing soon to set yourself up for a successful evaluation. Definitely you can review the reporting requirements when you gain access to the grants management system, update the evaluation plan that you submitted to describe what you're going to track and how you'll track it, and start thinking about what data collection tools you might need to develop to get some of that information. We also are going to have a more in-depth training on evaluation at some point earlier in the grant cycle, and support and technical assistance is always available for evaluation as needed. So just reach out to your main contact and we can set something up. And I just want to end by reiterating, we truly do want to use this evaluation to learn alongside you, not viewing this solely as an accountability exercise. And we will have a lot to learn together in this first iteration of the grant program. And really excited to engage with you around the evaluation and to leverage the evaluation to help us understand the impact of all this great work you all are about to do. So thank you so much, and I'm going to pass it on to Joan.
Thanks so much, Ellen. We really appreciate all that information about evaluations. So right now, we'd like to take some questions. If you have any questions, please go ahead and enter them in the Q&A section, and we will try to answer them live if possible. We do have one question so far that I'm going to ask Emily to respond to. On one of the slides, it mentions that the grant contracts are going to be begin on January 9th. Does that mean that all the grant contracts are going to be sent to all the organizations on January 9th? And what is the anticipated turnaround time for Dee to return a fully executed contract once the grantee returns the signed contract? Emily, can you give us a response for that?
Yes, thank you. And I'll also follow up in the chat. So right now, it's a great question. And I know that there's different familiarity with different programs here at Dee, but in general, before we can begin the process of contract signatures, the final work plans and budgets have to be receive approval from the grant specialist coordinators, and each of our grantees has been working with the grant specialist coordinator. You've received the revisions that need to be made, and any of the work that is needed is going to be hand in hand, back and forth with your grant specialist coordinator. And if you have any questions about that, please do let them know. And then they're supported by Brian, who will be ensuring that everything is compliant, that all of the revisions make sense and work. And then also there's the part of the risk mitigation plans. If there's work that needs to be done before contracts can go for signature, some organizations have those, then we have to pause and wait until those are completed as well. So everyone is in a little bit of a different timeline. Our goal is to move everyone through the contract signature with final execution as fast as we can, but it really depends on the level of involvement on our grantee side in the editing. Once you submit and the grant specialist coordinator approves it, then we can route it through the grant management system for internal administrative approval. That's should be quicker than it has been in the past, because we've got this great slick technology now, and we've got a team that is ready to start approving and reviewing, and all of this work has been pre-reviewed in the contracts and everything. So it should go smoothly once we go through that. The first signature that has to happen will be the encumbrance. So once we have to encumber the funds, once we've approved it, that can take a couple days to make that contract shell of PO and get the purchase order. and then it will go to the grantee for their signature, and then we'll route it back to us at Deed here through GMS for final signature and execution. The moment that you receive that executed grant date, that's when you can begin incurring costs. But again, your grant specialist coordinators are your navigators throughout this entire timeline. And if you have any questions, please let us know.
Thank you, Emily. At this time, we don't have any additional questions. But if you think of any questions later on, please feel free to reach out to your grant specialist coordinators or to send an email to our paidleave.grants.deed@state.mn.us email address. That will go to all the grant specialist coordinators. Again, Julia is on leave, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or to Mike. At this time, I'm going to throw it back to Brian just to see if there are any additional points that we want to discuss or anything else that came up during the webinar to bring to your attention. Brian?
All right, thank you, Joan, and thank you to all the presenters. So hopefully, nope, we just had a question come into the Q&A. So I can read it and update everyone. So it says, the process Emily was just talking about, I'm wondering if we will be able to bill back to January 1st for grant activities. Unfortunately, the answer to that is no. We cannot, we will not be able to bill for grant activities until the final contracts are started. And so you should, the contract or the grant activity should start once you get a final signed contract in place, and then full steam ahead on your work plan and budget that's in the contract. So yeah, just again, the hope and the goal for our discussion today, we were hoping, we wanted you to meet the team, and there is a lot of excitement amongst paid leave for these grants to get underway. And we have our communications and public engagement, program evaluation. We have a host of teams and support lined up to ensure success of the grants and you, the grantee. And we hope you kind of see how these grants are fitting into the bigger picture. There's, as Greg started at the very beginning, there is a lot of advocacy and a lot of work moving forward. Work has happened in the past and a lot of work moving forward to really make paid leave a success. And these grants are fundamentally a big part of that. And so we want to just thank you for joining the paid leave effort, and thank you for your work, to date, and getting your applications in and helping in finalizing work plans and budgets and getting that. And again, we have one last step to get these contracts signed. And so we have a couple more questions coming in. Can I ask, Joan, do you mind just taking a look at the questions and throwing it real quick?
Sure. So one of the questions we have is, we would like to be able to create some screenshots of how to create the paid only account and other things in the Minnesota paid leave system. Is it possible to create a dummy account to do that? I'm going to pass that to Betsy, I believe, and see if she can give a response to that.
Hi, folks, sorry. So we're wondering if we can create some screenshots of how to create the paid leave only account and other things in the paid leave system. So what I understand right now is that we do have some of these explainers that we're working on. So I think Sam might have additional insights. I know we're putting on some like how to apply screenshot thing. So there might be some resources that are already in development that we can share with you. Again, I know as soon as we develop things, we're going to be working to get those to you as soon as possible. I think in terms of dummy accounts, I think that's something that we can explore. So I'll have to get back to you on that. I know that there's sort of like different sensitivities of what we're able to do, but I appreciate that idea. So we can look into that.
This is Linda. Just want to chime in here that we do have a recording of a webinar that we did some months back with the unemployment insurance team, and that presentation and slide deck does include screenshots. If you give me a quick minute, I'll find the link to that particular webinar and put it in the chat for you. And then you can see if that meets your needs, and if not, reach out to your grant coordinator specialist, and we will see what else we can do.
Thank you, both Betsy and Linda. Appreciate that information. We did have a follow-up question where they agreed that it is difficult to walk employers through the accounts if they can't see what they're showing to the employers. So if we can make screenshots available, we definitely will. We did have one other question. Will the communication come through the GMS system for the contract signature? And that would be yes. You'll receive an email. Your authorized representative should receive an email saying that the contract is ready for signature, and they will need to sign into the GMS system and go ahead and sign the contract. That will then route it back to deed and the final deed signature. And at that point, once we get that final deed signature, the contract will be executed.
If you don't mind, I want to also, this is Anna Rodell from the Grants Management System. I'm a product owner supporting paid leave in this process, and all of you. I just want to mention that also once the grant contract is executed, you also receive a confirmation that it's executed. So you will know when deed has final signature on the contract. And then once you're in the system, you can review the final contract with all those signatures on the document landing page. So I just want to provide additional context to that as well. Thanks.
We did have an additional question come in. It's noted that budgeting for year 2 will start July 1st. Does that mean we will have to pause on reimbursement requests? Sorry, the question disappeared.
Sorry, that was me, Linda. I moved it, or Joan, I moved it over to publish.
Okay, can you provide an answer to that?
Yeah, I figured, yep. So the question is, we've noted that the budgeting for year 2 will start July 1. Does that mean we will have to pause on reimbursement requests and work as that is being worked through? The answer is no. The timing will be a little delicate, and everyone will be working through this with your grant specialist coordinator at the time, but we've guaranteed that a match of your year 1. So if you have exhausted your year 1 funding, then we'll be working with you in that situation to at least get you the match for year 2. For year 1, but it should be seamless. You'll draw down all of your FY26, your fiscal year 26 funds. And then once you've exhausted your year 1 budget, then you'll move into year 2. And then you'll be working closely with our grant specialist coordinators on anything for budget extensions or timeline extensions as well. So there will be some amendments and further discussions based on where you're at, where your spend rate's at, but there should be no pause in activities, and we're building up our systems and processes around the fiscal year change and our actuarial studies, knowing that this is really a unique statute and circumstance that we appreciate your patience with and understanding, but you should not have to pause.
Thanks, Emily. An additional question is, I'm going to ask Betsy if she can answer this. Is there a penalty for businesses that get their paid leave account set up late because they weren't aware of the program?
So we can give you some exact language on this one. I think hopefully it's in some of our materials that we can pass along. But what I would tell people is that, again, currently and right now, what we want to just emphasize as we're out is that we are doing our best to work in partnership to get people signed up, to get people in compliance. However, we are not currently pursuing penalties if someone is behind. However, if there are scenarios where we will be pursuing penalties in the coming year, and so we should encourage people to get in compliance as soon as possible. If there's anything I missed on that response, Linda or Sam, please weigh in.
No, that's right, Betsy. I think we're focused on working with employers to make sure they get the information and they get set up, and we're not currently focused on penalizing employers, but it is true there will come a time when that employers will be expected to be compliant.
Thank you. I appreciate the response on that. We had a follow-up question on the funding, and I'm going to ask Emily to jump in again. If funds from year one remain at June 30th, can these be rolled over into year two?
Yes.
Answer. Okay. If there are any other questions, please go ahead and submit them. If not, please reach out to your grant specialist coordinators at any time. We are available to answer any questions. If we don't know the answer to that, we will definitely find the answer. As you can see, we have a very large team and everybody is very resourceful and just wanting to help our grantees become as successful as possible. With that, if we don't have any other final comments, let's see, one more question. If there is a new self-employed business that doesn't have past data to determine their premium, but they want to sign up for the program, how will their premium be determined and how much they would receive if they need to take leave? How will this be handled? And I see Betsy's already ready to answer that question.
I can hop on this one, but then I will have to jump. So self-employed, again, just to reiterate what I think many of you on the call know, people who are self-employed, so receive a 1099 or are, again, have a LLC. Those folks are not covered under the program, but they can opt in. There is information on our website. It recently went up about opting in for a benefit to create an account. In order to opt in, you need to have self-employment earnings over 5.3% of the statewide average annual wage in the last year. So if you haven't earned any money yet, you won't yet be able to opt into the program.
Thank you so much, Betsy. Appreciate that. With that, I think we are at our conclusion. I will turn it back to Brian for any closing comments.
All right, thank you, Joan, and thank you everyone for your questions. And those are the type of questions and the things. Again, we are hoping to have many touch points, including office hours and other opportunities where we will be available to answer questions like that from grantees in order for you to have the best, most accurate information possible moving forward. So thank you so much for those questions. Yeah, it's great to hear what you're thinking and already seeing some very thoughtful, well-placed questions that you're providing asking us, and hopefully that will continue again into the future with office hours and other touch points. So again, the goal of one of the main goals of some of the main goals of this presentation is we wanted you to meet the paid leave team, to understand how we as paid leave are going to be providing grant management support for you. You know, and again, it all starts with your grant specialist coordinator, but behind that person, there are many others who are ready and willing to help and support any, you know, and answer the questions you have, help you overcome obstacles, whatever the circumstance may be. We also again hope you see big picture how your grants are fitting into the paid leave program, and that you're excited to be really pushing this initiative forward. As Greg mentioned at the beginning, it is you know, sort of helping Minnesotans join a lot of the rest of the world in terms of having paid leave available to them and allowing people to not have to choose between earning an income or taking care of themselves or family in moments of difficulty. So we hope you're excited to join and to help us push that forward. And I'll just finish this up by saying, you know, thank you very much for attending today. When you have future questions, issues, again, the grant specialist coordinator will be there to help you out. We are excited to have you starting this team. We are, again, working quickly to get work plans, budgets finalized, and to get the contract signed. And we look forward to many great grants that will do innovative, incredible, wonderful things in the coming months and next 2 years. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you to all the presenters. Thank you to everyone from our grantees attending, and I wish everyone a good day. Thanks.